guess moving back to kind of the involvement in the Warrior Nun fandom, you mentioned earlier that everyone kind of, it's this togetherness that's not really been seen, especially like in the last few years, and I think that goes for all of us. But with your music being part of the show, has it kind of affected you in any way, if it has at all?
Well, I think the biggest, one of the biggest things for me was that him for her is like 100% me. And I'm not saying that, I co-wrote the song. It was produced by Alex Reed and I performed it. I'm saying like, that's how I've felt my whole life. And I just haven't really, I've been trying to write things that I thought other people would like. To be honest, that song was released in February last year, and between February and when the show came out, it wasn't people weren't really responding to it. Um, and I was told, "Oh, the word him in the title is turning people off. You shouldn't have called it that." Or sort of some of the biblical references are like might turn people off, and I just wasn't. It was one of those songs where like we wrote it, we were really proud of it, and I put it out and thought nothing. I just was like, it's out, and it represents how I feel. It represents how I felt my whole life. So I didn't really care if people liked it or not or had issues with the title. I was just like, this is, me. And so I think the love that I've received and the appreciation that it's gotten since the show has just been really validating, that like letting me know I'm not the only one who feels this way. um, and that has been really, I mean, that's life changing. Um, how many people, just validating someone and saying you're not the only one. I mean, how many people wish they had heard that when they were a kid, or wish they had heard that when they were coming out, or wish they had heard that when they were, dealing with family or religion and things like that. It's quite life changing, and it's so rare to have those moments where you show yourself vulnerable and raw and 100% yourself, and people are like, that is correct. That never happens. um, so it's been astounding, really. It's been shocking, and I've just been, it makes me feel valid. It makes my 7, 8 year old self feel like she was, she had something and she was right. I don't know, whatever that means. Um, that Julie Andrews was the hottest woman on the planet. In The Sound of Music, she was right. Um, but yeah, I guess if that answers your question.
No, it definitely does. I think it's that connection, like finding something that you find yourself represented in is so massive. And I think that's what's really cool about the Warrior Nun fandom, is it's this group of like people that have all connected to it for one reason or another, and then kind of come together in it. And I think that's so cool. And then to also have kind of like a song to represent that is such a kind of unique facet of this, if that makes sense. But yeah, no, it definitely answered the question.
Good, good.
But the same is true in that your song helped validate our feelings.
No, that's amazing.
Speaking of like personal identification or that kind of thing, sort of sharing with people on a very deep personal level, do you see parts of yourself in either Ava or Beatrice?
That's an interesting question. I think a little in both of them. I can be a little bit reckless sometimes and adventurous here and there. That's very rare though. I guess I'm a bit more Beatrice. I'm a little bit more buttoned up, and I don't this is the opposite of how an artist should be, but I don't want to like upset anyone. I'm not great at confrontation. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm doing a lot of work with boundaries and letting people know how I actually feel, and how rather you didn't call me at 3 a.m. and ask me to bounce stems, things like that. I'm doing better, but I'm definitely more like Lauren, my partner, is more, I'd say, Ava, like let's just let's just burn the house down, and I'm like, no, we don't have insurance. So yeah, but I'm trying to be a little bit more loose. I think part of it's my upbringing. I just haven't really been able to shake that sort of buttoned up, church like vibe. But I'm trying to shake it.
So you said you've been doing music for quite a long time. Is there anything that you'd wish you'd kind of like within like maybe the first few years that you'd change something, or you could go back and tell yourself something about like what to expect or something like that? Is there anything that you'd go back and change about the first couple of years?
Oh yeah, I mean, I started performing and releasing music in 2004, and nothing about the first, oh man, nothing about the first 9 or 10 years, I would say, had to do with me. I was very much trying to be somebody that I was not. And it was so obvious. I had just conflicting currents inside all the time. I was never at peace with myself. I was never in agreement with myself. And that made for a really confusing career. Before 2015, I came out and changed my name, and my artist name, and changed a lot of things about my life, and really looked at I need to start agreeing with myself. I can't live in conflict with myself. It's just nothing makes sense. It's like a door that like doesn't close quite all the way. It's just people are confused. I was confused. The photos of myself from back then don't look like me at all. I was trying to pass as a straight female, and get signed by a major label. That's what I was trying to do. Which was I wasn't even sure what that looked like. I just thought that was what everyone else was aspiring to do. And so I put myself in line for that, and spent a lot of time and a lot of energy trying to make something work that just wasn't gonna work. And I mean, it sounds cliche to tell people, just be yourself. But that was really all that I needed to do, was just, be myself. And if that hadn't worked at the time, again, 2004, the social climate was a bit different than it is now, toward our community. It may not have worked out for me back then to come out and be myself, but I feel like I would have been a lot happier. But I mean, I did it in 2015, and that was like being reborn. So maybe there was all a reason for it. Maybe I needed to have 10 years of conflict to finally be like, that door finally just like fitting. Yeah.
This next question doesn't even fit with that. That's a powerful statement right there of your journey to get where you are today. Um, when you do the first draft of a song versus the final product, can you talk about some of the differences? Or how different it is?
It's mostly lyric wise, lyric changes that I make, if anything. Or if the melody, because I tend to ramble on with my melodies, I like to make things interesting for myself, but sometimes in doing that I lose anyone listening because I'm like trying to come up with clever things that I like to make, but average listener is going to listen to the song once or twice and not be able to take anything from it if I'm constantly changing the melody and doing all these like fun things. So I might write a song that has pretty wandering melodies, and by the last draft or the final draft, I've condensed the ideas into 3 or 4 and let those ideas repeat so that the song's easier to absorb and it's easier to memorize. With the lyrics, I try to rewrite anything that sounds cliche. Anything that, if I were to sing it fast, is difficult. So I sometimes have to rewrite lines that have consonants that are too close to each other. And put words together that sound good rolling off the tongue. Because like, if you have to sing it faster than usual and you're unable to get it out, that can be a problem. So a lot of it's just trying to make it more pleasant. Because my first drafts are usually pretty jagged and like interesting but noisy and busy. And by the end of it, I'm trying to smooth things down so that more is repeated. It's simpler to process, and the lyrics roll off the tongue easier.
Does it ever feel like smothering that you have to conform to certain, repetition, certain length of time?
Not really. I mean, it does in the moment, but then when I'm performing it live, I'm really grateful to myself that I did that. Because I used to not really finesse songs so much. I would release them as they were, just kind of all over the place, and they were very difficult to perform live. Difficult to memorize, difficult to rehearse with a band, difficult to pull off. So while in the studio it might feel like a little bit confining, I know in the future I will thank myself for making it a bit simpler.
On a slightly different line of questioning, talking about cover art, actually. So the cover art for Where I Am features like a blurry upside down image of you, I believe. And then with a deep orange triangle in the top right corner. Is there a deeper meaning behind this, or what was the inspiration behind that? And how do you go about getting cover art from someone like that?
So my friend Patrick Crowley is a graphic designer, and I sent him a bunch of ideas, a bunch of photos, selfies, just a bunch of stuff. And then I sort of explained to him what Where I Am is about. And he sent that back to me. And it felt good because Where I Am is about just being complete, like there's just so much going on. There's so much going on, and there's so much negativity in the world. There's so much violence and darkness just every day, and just always on the news, and then we have personal things, and you know, our mental health and our physical health. There's just so much going on, and I have a tendency to spiral very easily, which is why I don't really use social media that much. I usually sign on to things on my laptop, but I keep it off my phone because I just get really, I get really upset, and it's not normal. But Kevin Hutchins, the producer and co-writer of the song, we were talking, and he was like, he's just like me, where he just kind of like spirals and just like that, you know, ruins our day to see something disturbing or upsetting. And he was like, is there anyone in your life that like will kind of pop out of the chaos and be like, hey, find yourself, like, hey, breathe. And I was like, yeah, it's Lauren. And I was like, do you have someone? He's like, yeah. He's like, my wife Carly. And he's like, we need to write something for them, like about that, how like with everything going on, there's that one person that can be like, snap out of it, like sit down, give me your hands, we're gonna breathe. And so that's what it's about. And I think for me, the blurry photo, which was taken in 2015 by photographer Nick Turner, that photo has its own sort of meaning behind it, and that sort of being the blurriness and then having something like sharp and clean in contrast, to me is that voice that's just cutting through all the noise, and it's like, chill out. Like, you're fine, let's sit down and let's talk about why you're upset, and then let's move on. Like, you don't need to take a nap about it, you're fine.
That's a really nice and deeper meaning behind it. Thank you.
Yeah. So a fan wanted to know, what is one of the most
useless talents? I guess I think the muscles in my face are really strong because I can make really terrifying faces, and I can hold them for long periods of time. Sometimes Lauren won't be looking at me, she'll be like doing something else, and I'll just be looking at her, and my face will be very contorted, and I'll just wait until she turns around and sees me. And I guess that's a talent. I can hold it for a really long time and like not make any noise.
That's funny. You know that I'm gonna ask, can we get a demonstration of one of these?
Absolutely not.
Worth a shot, yeah.
Absolutely not. They're awful. They're inhumane. I can't.
That's fine.
It's all right.
Try.
There's a photo. I have a photo that she took one time of me doing it. It's in my photo blog, and every once in a while I'm just like, ah! It's so scary.
That's hilarious.
When I have, like, I'll be honest, I do get Botox sometimes. If I have Botox, I can't do it. Which I don't right now, so I totally could, but I'm not going to.
That's okay. Since you're gonna play for us today, we're good. Coco, do you have another question that you had?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So, this is a bit of an odd question, but it should be some fun. If the characters of Warrior Nun worked in the music industry in some kind of role, what kind of roles do you think they would have? Like, they could be musicians of certain instruments or certain roles behind the scenes. Do you have any envisioned jobs for them?
I would say Warrior Nuns. I would say they'd be great. The tour managers. Just like you've got to be on it all the time. You got to be ready to throw down at any time.
So, like, what would you picture like Ava or Beatrice doing?
Beatrice would be. She would be the one organizing the schedule and making sure that everything is on time, everything is going well. Ava would be the one who deals with the managers at the venues. And it's like, you will pay my artist. I don't care what you say. You will pay my artist or we won't play. And I think that would be a great duo for sure.
How about Father Vincent?
Soundboard at the back.
Very good. All right. So, Camilla?
Bass player?
Oh, interesting. Okay. Let's see.
But Lilith as well.
What's that?
Oh, sorry. What about Lilith?
Drummer.
Yeah, I think when we were discussing orchestral players out of those people with Tangerine, we all kind of came to the conclusion that Lilith would be playing something bassy and like, you know, and so we sort of went for cello in that aspect. But I think it's quite interesting how everyone has a very like set viewpoint of Lilith in like the viewpoint of that kind of thing. So in a band setting, I very much agree with you with
Yeah.
drums. I think it's interesting how some people you can just sort of see in roles and other people it's harder. But like the character of Lilith, I think really lends herself to being seen in these kinds of roles.
Aggressive, yeah. Yeah.
Father Vincent one was the one that got me the soundboard. I'm an acoustic engineer and he gives very acoustic engineer vibes. Like I've met so many people that are like that man. So that you nailed that one. I agree heavily.
Yeah, it's at the back. You gotta be like,
yeah. Turn it up.
Awesome.
Sweet.
We're leaving someone out. Mother Superior.
pianist, keyboardist, something soft. Keyboardist, I would say. Yeah.
Just imagining them as the superior up front playing and then Vince in the back like
more bass.
I think I've scattered my questions sneakily in through there.
Okay.
Because I have to write a song for uni. I'm not a songwriter. I like composing music, but lyrics and that kind of thing I struggle with quite significantly. So I've sort of gone through the songs that I like and the best way I know how to write songs, like I'd never publish them or anything, is just playing chords and singing along with what I'm doing and trying to come up with the lyrics at the time, because if I'm not thinking about it too deeply, then I can come up with some things that are quite nice, but that's not quite good enough for a uni assignment, unfortunately. So I was sort of listening through to songs that I like because I need to produce it as well, and sort of I was listening through all of your songs on repeat, and it's certainly giving me a lot of inspiration that I might be able to get an okay mark in it maybe. So I sent a few of your songs Spotify links to my lecturer, sort of asking if I did something kind of like this, would that be okay? So some of the questions I've asked today were kind of like just for my own research as well. So I've scattered them in thoroughly.
Fuck, I hope you get a good grade.
Thank you.
Do you have any tips
Um, I mean, kind of going back to the hold on writing process, if you record yourself mumbling a melody over chords and you find a melody that you like, you don't have the lyrics yet, um, what you can do is count out the syllables that will be in each phrase. Um, and memorize that. Memorize, like, so if you're da 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 da, so 10, memorize that. Make sure that that's what the first line is going to be. Um, and just sort of, what I do is put a line, like on a piece of paper, put a line and then like 8, line 7, line 8. And you want it to, you don't want to have one line with 2 syllables and then one line with 16. It needs to mirror, they need to mirror each other at least a little bit. Not perfectly, but enough. Um, and then what you can do is take a concept that you want to write about and just brainstorm, just like stream of consciousness, and then find the bits that would work in these lines, and then you can tweak the ends of them if you want them to be close rhyming. You might have to switch words out here and there or rearrange them, or you can do a what's called a slant rhyme, where it doesn't rhyme perfectly, but you can kind of shape it to rhyme. And then yeah, and then you kind of have your structure, and then it's just about rehearsing it over and over until it feels smooth and it feels good, and that might prompt some changes here and there, but that's kind of the more, I guess, strategic way of writing a song, as opposed to it all just kind of like flooding out.
Thank you. Yeah, I think lyric writing is an art form in itself that a lot of people don't appreciate. They kind of go, it's like writing a poem and then putting the poem to music. But I've fairly recently had some friends that have sent me their very lovely poems and have said, can you put this to music, please? And I'm like, I can't, because there's no syllable. Like some of the words rhyme and it has a beautiful meaning behind it, but you can't have a repeated melody here because it's not gonna fit. These words don't lend themselves to being sung. They're lovely as a poem, but they're not going to work as a song. And I think that's sometimes forgotten, and it certainly makes the songwriting process harder. Yeah, so thank you very much for the tips. I can take everything I can get there.
Of course.
Can you tell us a couple of the projects that you're working on right now?
Yeah, I just released Where I Am a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to be releasing another song May 26th called Taking Up the Bed. And that is a song that I co-wrote and co-produced with Kevin Hutchins. He's the same one who did Where I Am. And this one's a bit more pop, a little bit more, or it's mid-tempo, I would say. It's a little bit more, sounds a bit more upbeat, but it is mid-tempo. And Kevin and I are trying to get a day a week that we work together consistently, because both of our schedules are hard to align. So in the future, we have about 6 or 7 songs that we have finished that are mixed and mastered, and we just want to keep writing together and get a consistent one day a week, which is very adult of us. But we both, like I said, have pretty busy schedules, and so we're trying to have a bit of a routine. And I work with Kevin. I work with my friend Belinda, who's a producer as well. She did Soak It In, which I released a couple months ago. And then, of course, Alex Reed, I work with via Zoom. He's in Canada, so We still work via Zoom, and I cut all my vocals here and send them to him. So the three of them I work with pretty consistently. Starting June 19th, I'm teaching 5 classes, 5 intro to songwriting, advanced songwriting, and then some like high school courses starting in June. So I'm preparing myself for that.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm not there yet. I have a lot of work to do to prepare for those classes, but
You said that you would play your song for the Halo project.
yes, I will. Let's see how this sounds. I might have to try the sound out a little bit. Are you able to hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, I think I've met you before, right? I don't know your name, it's your voice I recognize. Do you feel like time is so bent? We're the only galaxy left. Let me guess that we've met in this life or the next. If I held the words in my mouth, would you get to taste them 100 years from now? Would you even know what they meant? And would the feeling finally make sense? Let me guess that we've met in this life or the next. Maybe you can know me by touch, but only if my body and soul lock into one. If you felt the touch of my hand, tell me, would you know who I am? Would you guess that we met in this life or the next?
Nice. Yeah.
Lovely, thank you.
That's awesome.
I'd be really interested to see. I know that when you first put it out, you said you were yet to put it out to the publisher, the producer. Was that right? I'd be really interested to see how that changes once it's gone through that process as well.
Yeah, I actually took it to my friend Belinda last week, and I said I just wanted, she has an upright felted piano in her live room, and so I played the piano part, and then she is a she's a producer, but she's also a composer and arranger. So I said I just wanted piano, vocal, and then like a string ensemble of some sort. And so she sort of built string parts around the song. And then my sister actually is a violinist out here in LA and has works with all kinds of people that violists and cellists, and so the plan is to get the sheet music out and then have my sister, because Belinda just put in, I think, just like MIDI stuff, and it sounds amazing, and she has like, top of the line BBC orchestra plugins and stuff, but it's not obviously the same as live. So once we get the sheet music, we're gonna try to get my sister and her friends to replicate those parts. I'll probably re-sing it after that because it's gonna feel different. So yeah, that is more just kind of getting everyone on the same page and getting everyone in the same place at the same time, and miking everything properly. So yeah, I don't want to rush it, but I do really like the song, and I've written the third verse, and it'd be nice to be able to put it out at some point. Yeah.
I'm a string player myself, violin and viola, and I'm very excited for that. I've also got you mentioned the BBC orchestra. I got myself that like yesterday, and I've been like having way more time playing around with that than I should have, and I feel like I'm betraying my own kind by having fun with like the strings there, but it is really good.
It sounds good. It's like, I mean, if my sister hears it, she gets mad, but it sounds good for at least as a placeholder. It's easier to arrange strings when you have an idea of how it's going to sound.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't wait to hear the final production of that song.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for taking your time to talk with us again.
Of course. Thank you for reaching out, and for y'all for taking the time as well. It's lovely to see everyone, and I got to get back on that Twitter. Start to see what's going on. I did send out I was late, but I did send thank you notes out to quite a few. Hopefully they get they get to where they're supposed to go.
I did see that message.
Oh man,
There was rather a lot of chaos there. Like, go get it, go get it.
What's
Like
that?
Discord everywhere. I just, when you sent that tweet, everyone ran to Discord to tell their friends. It's like, go, 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 go.
Oh really? Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
There was a lot.
I hope they get through. I don't know. The snail mail is you never know.
I think it's a lovely thing to do. You didn't have to do that at all, and I think everyone really, really appreciated not just you doing it, but that, like, the sentiment of you doing it as well, because it means a lot to us as well when you like talk to us like this, and you answer fan questions, and you interact on Twitter and that kind of thing. It's lovely to see that, and it's inspiring as well. So thank you very much for all that you do.
Of course, and likewise, thank you all. Yeah, I'm happy to do it. There's nothing quite like getting a tangible, I'm gonna date myself as well, but having CDs back in the day, having an autographed poster, things like, a thank you note, a letter. Like I keep all my letters in a Ziploc bag in my closet. Like I love letters, and it's I love writing them too. So it's my pleasure.
All right. Well, you have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.
You as well. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.